Let's see what's going on. So I'm going to stream this live. It's going to go to YouTube and my Facebook page. Okay. Hey, Facebook fam, Katrina, Sade, Melvin, thanks for joining. Brad Gonzalez and Nestor, how are you? Dead Rahoof, I see you. Thank you. You guys should enjoy this because it's really going to battle a whole bunch of information that's out there. That just is, I mean, it's people are putting about misinformation that either A isn't for you, it's for somewhat another demographic, and I'll tell you why, or B, they're just trying to get your money. And me and my clients know about this, and we have for some time, but I keep hearing the same stuff, and I guess to me, I'm just surprised that people haven't figured this out yet. So I'm just going to talk about what the reality is, and as a rental property owner, what actually protects you way more than others. So hold on, I have to find a certain page. They changed YouTube's so I can see if anybody makes comments so that I can respond to them. Live. All right, we got one watching there. Hey, if there's any people on YouTube, can you type a comment so I can make sure that you guys are seeing this and that you're able to communicate? Even if you just put hi or here, present, or something like that before I start. Hey Jamie, how you doing? Tamika, Jasmine, I see you. I see you, Tamika. Charles, hey Christian. I'm just seeing, making sure the YouTube people can see me all right before I start. YouTube world, give me a sign. Give me something. Because last time I thought no one was saying anything, and they were, because I was on the wrong page, because YouTube changed things around in their studio, in their background. All right, we're just going to have to go with God on this one. We're just going to have to go with Jesus. Hey, YouTube people, if anyone's watching, can you type something in the chat? Okay, here's the live one. Okay, we're good. We're going to start. Okay, so YouTube's a little light today, so I'm going to mostly focus on. Hey, Facebook fam, I just wanted to come to you guys really quick on some misinformation out there. And it's not exactly misinformation, like I'm trying to find a grain at one point in which it was true, but like I can't even think of a mind in which it is. I'm all for getting an LLC, right? But mostly for business reasons, for tax deductions, keeping things very official. And if you're in the Invest and Made Easy monthly membership, we have lawyers in there who talk about when you get to month 4 and 5 of the monthly membership content that talk about using LLC as a protective, how to protect yourself, how to set it up correctly, right? So it does offer some basic separation of who you are. But the reality is a lot of information about how big and important LLCs are is just garbage because it really doesn't protect you. And what actually does protect you is renter's insurance. And I want to go into this because it is 2019. Me and my clients have known about this for years, and they just keep saying the same trite information out there, and it doesn't help anyone because it really doesn't protect you when adding a simple item to your lease requiring renter's agreements does, like renter's insurance does. And I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail about it. So if you're on YouTube, go ahead and say something, say hi, so I know that you're looking and that everything's going on. So, all right, Facebook, hey Janine, Michael, Glennis, Brandon, GD, the gang, everybody I've worked with and recognized. Okay, so, let me put this on. You should see my face, YouTube, Facebook world. Can you not see my face? Or is it just like, say, renter's insurance? Okay, we're good now.
Got
Okay,
it.
coming to you
So if
from.
you're on
Oops.
YouTube, go ahead and say
Oops.
something, say hi, so I know that you're
There
looking.
we go. Okay. Sorry. So, coming from my home living room while the palace is getting unpacked. The palace is a lot of stuff I've accumulated over 18 years that I have not risked getting rid of because I paid good money for it and it's good quality. So, it takes a long time to unpack a palace, especially when you're unpacking it by yourself. So, I'm coming to you not from my office, from my living room, but trust me, you're going to like the content because it's going to make way more sense than what's out there. All right. Did you put facts? Hey, okay. Thank you, David. Okay, thank you, Glennis. All right. So, the truth about all the fear mongering. So, let's talk about why everyone tells you you need an LLC. Every time I've seen that, it's mostly been a company who gets paid to help you make LLCs tell you that if you don't get an LLC, everything can be wiped out. All of your money, they can attack you, they can sue you for millions of dollars. And let's talk about that, okay? So, first of all, let's talk about who the target of that conversation is. If I am, um, let's just say, Thomas, right? I'm Thomas. I have 2 or 3 rental properties. Thomas has a house, not a lot of equity in the house. Thomas has a bank account, maybe $10,000 in the bank account, and something happens to his tenants and he doesn't have the renter insurance or landlord insurance in place, all right? Well, Thomas still isn't that much of a target, not for anything big. So yeah, a tenant might sue for like, hey, $1,000 worth of X and X was damaged and you're responsible for it as the landlord, and they can prove negligence, but they're not going after you like a big payday. Now, if you're Michael Jordan and you own rental property and it's in your own name, people will make things up just to attack you because they know that you have a big payday and you're going to be willing to settle out of court very easily because you don't want to go through the headache and the hassle of like a long court case, right? So definitely there are companies out there that will make you think if you invest in a rental property, you absolutely need an LLC for protection and you don't want to put your name on it because if you put your name on it, all these things are going to happen, right? Like, first of all, you need to understand that's for people with money, or people who have like a public standing, people who have money in the public light, people who maybe they've seen that you have cars or this and that. Those are the people who need more protection than most. All right, if you're a famous NFL player buying properties, right, you're sitting target because people know that you'd rather settle than go through all that long stuff. So it's not always garbage advice, but we really need to know who you're talking to. If you don't have that much money, if people sue you and they know that, they might not get it because you just don't have it, you're not a real target. And trust me, the lawyer will go into that, right? Like, who can we sue? My lawyer was more than happy to explain. All right, so if a guy in a beat up truck hits you, you're like, I don't know how much money I'm going to get. Let's go after the insurance, right? But if a FedEx truck, no offense to the FedEx people, hits you, well, that's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're going to want to settle to just get it over with. They have the pocketbooks to settle. They are a target, right? So first of all, you need to understand all that fear mongering is for that. And so first, understand that most people aren't going to tell you who they're talking to, and it's a really large net worth individual. But I'm always cool with telling people they're not talking to you. They're talking to people with big pockets who are more of a liability. And then if you're at that stage, you should maybe protect yourself. So I have a platform, maybe anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000 people. I'm not like a target per se, but like if you try to sue me, you ain't getting any money, right? Like I don't have it like that. So I'm not a poor or anything, but it's not like I don't have like, I'm just not that big of a target, right? Even though I have more standing, more people may look into it, but if they look deep, you're not going to get too much, right? And everything I have is always protected and mostly under my 401k, which you can't touch anyways, right? So it's just like hidden away. And so even if you are a public figure, it still doesn't mean if you're like a YouTuber that people know that you're still a target, right? You need to have money to be a target, and the lawyers are going to go into that. So if you're big, yes, LLC to protect your privacy so people don't look at you as a big pocketbook. That's not the majority of people. It's not the majority of sub 30K investors. It's not the majority of you. We have debt. Our net worth is like $100 because we have so much more debt than we actually have cash on hand. The average American has like $500 in equity. right? Especially the, I always talk about wealth disparities in between the white community, Asian, Hispanic, and black community. I think the average is, I think we're pretty much negative when you combine the debt and actual assets for the black community. So us even more so. Like you squeezing a tear out of a turnip, right? All right. So, right? Like you can't, try it, like the wealth and inequalities do exist. So when you're trying to sue somebody, if you're a tenant and you're a landlord and you're trying to sue somebody, like you better just keep it at what was actually lost. If you're trying to go above and beyond that, you're really looking at people who have a way more student loan debt, credit card debt than actual cash on hand. And you're just not going to get anything. And the lawyer knows that, and you know that as the tenant, okay? So that's something to be mindful about when everyone's trying to scare you that an LLC is the end all be all. I love my LLC. I like having a business because you can do whatever you want. You can make your business for anything. It could be real estate investing and watching and raising ponies, right? Like I love having a business because if you have a passion for doing something like flying drones and helping people find things and you just like doing it, you make a business out of it and you make money because people pay you to find things or spy on people. Like I love having a business because you make legitimate expenses out of things that you already enjoyed, right? So I love having a business, but not for all the fear mongering, for fun. Because businesses, to me, I'm just born like that. Like I think business is fun because of the flexibility and how you can manipulate it, make it whatever you want. You can have a passion and just profit from your passion, all because you put LLC around it and made it a business, and you can get the tax deductions and the standing of a business owner, which is also really cool. So that's why I like LLCs. But as far as protections, let's talk about what actually does protect you. Requiring renter's insurance protects you. Your landlord insurance protects you, right? Putting the property in an LLC, which people think about doing. And let me segue into that. So first of all, people are like, oh, you want to be anonymous so you're not a target. And remember we just said you're not a target if you don't have any money, right? You're just a person who someone may or may not sue because they don't know if they're going to get anything, right? So, so people are like, yeah, oh my gosh, they can take it all, right? Well, first, make sure, are you even a target? And then act appropriately. But secondly, your landlord insurance and your renter's insurance will take care of it. So we're just going to go into different scenarios that can happen where having one or both of those will protect you, okay? So say someone, and this is all, this isn't like legal speak. This is straight up. You can go to policygenius.com and look up renter's insurance and landlord's insurance, and they are very clear what is covered. So at this stage, I don't need to be a lawyer to talk about it because we all can read a policy, right? And it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so say someone comes over to, that's what I was going to side note into. I just really want to say this. Sometimes people are like, you don't know this as a new investor. They're like, okay, I heard that to protect myself and to keep my company separate, I should put the name of the house I'm buying with an LLC. Well, first understand, if you want to get a mortgage companies do not give, will not give you a mortgage on a property if it's in the name of an LLC. Why? Because an LLC, you can dissolve it tomorrow and they have no recourse because the LLC is disappeared. However, when a mortgage company gets a mortgage and your name is on it, and your name is Peter Paul Henry III, Peter Paul Henry III, if he defaults, they can follow Peter Paul Henry III around for the next 20 years. My friend actually worked as a skip tracer. She was telling me about it. So if someone had your social security number once, they have access to all these systems to find you. So skip tracers, like you can try to go off the grid. They will find you in Florida because your social security number will come up, or your old address will come up, or an old credit card. Like, they can find you. Whereas if you have an LLC, the bank has no recourse because you can just dissolve it on the Secretary of State, and then who are they going to sue? The agreement was for the mortgage was between them and the LLC. So a lot of new investors hear that they need to do that. But unless you're paying cash for the property, you can't get an LLC. They're just not going to do that. I mean, if you're like IBM and you have like millions of dollars, yeah, you're not going anywhere. So yeah, they'll probably do it with them because it's more than likely if they default, they can go after their assets and go after IBM for for a recourse on getting their money back, right? So yeah. So if you're a new investor, you usually think, okay, I heard I need to protect myself. I want to get a mortgage. You can't get a mortgage with the name of the LLC as the mortgagee. All right. So get that out of your mind. It's just something that you just really need to understand. Now, if you pay cash for a property, you can get it in an LLC. And I did this before, and I found that it was a bit more of a headache not having my name on the deed and having my LLC on the deed. I had to make sure I registered as a foreign entity, right? Like to properly do business. And they were checking up on that stuff if you go through the eviction process, at least in Baltimore they were. And, whereas if I just would have had Lisa Phillips, it would have been fine. I didn't have to pay technically a foreign entity fee. And basically it's like, since I had an LLC in Virginia, which costs $100, well, in Maryland, it costs $300 to get an LLC every single year, right? So there's monetary concerns as well. So in Maryland, it's $300. So if I don't have a Maryland LLC, and I want to use my Virginia one in Maryland, you have to technically pay $300 as a foreign entity. Well, entity just means business, foreign business doing business there. And it's part of their rental rules and rental requirements, right? So even in that space, paying for it cash and doing that, it still didn't offer me protection. It only cost me more money and sort of made it difficult for them to get in touch with me. Whereas if it would have been Lisa Phillips, it would have been much better. So my reality is it just created more money, more headaches, more hoops to go through, but it didn't necessarily protect me. Trust me, they'll get their money from you, right? So even in that case, if you do buy it cash and you do it in there, it's still, there's some gray areas. And if you go in, the Investing Made Easy really goes into the details of who the potential targets are, how to determine if you're a target, assessing your net worth so you know if you're a target and what people can do. The monthly membership goes into that in details anywhere from months 1 all the way through months 8 with the lawyers and legal and CPA. But I just want to give you guys an overview without going into the detail that's in that training. So yes, right. So having your house in the LLC, more protection, meh. Even in that case, you can't get a mortgage, and sometimes you just don't have $30,000 cash, right? You need a mortgage. So even in that case, meh. Having an LLC. Now having an LLC for your own business, great. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Now, what can it protect you with, right? So you're worried about a few things. And let me tell you how your insurance is going to cover that way better than any LLC trying to hide who you are or your assets, okay? So say, this happened in the group. Say there's a fire at your apartment, right? If you require renter's insurance, so say there's a fire, and A, your tenant has to go to a hotel, and B, the tenant's items were damaged. Well, if you require renter's insurance and, verify that they have it, the thing is, between both of those cases, you don't have to be out of pocket for lack of use of the rental property, right? Because I can conceivably see them if they don't have renter's insurance will cover them if there's a fire or damage or earthquake or it becomes uninhabitable because of an accident. And yes, someone in the sub 30K mastermind group, David, I think it was, had went through this. Hey, Tony. Had just went through this where there was a fire and the tenants had to evacuate. And David, you're on right now, so let me know if I got that wrong. But I remember you went through this. And but let me know. I could have gotten it wrong. In both of those cases, renter's insurance will cover their dwelling, so you don't have to come out of pocket the 2, 3, 4 weeks or whatever that they have to stay in a hotel or motel or whatever it might be while the place is being fixed. And 2, damage to the tenant's property. Now, that has a little bit more nuance. And like I said, Tony's on. She is one of our lawyers who is in the Investing Made Easy Monthly. So is Brian. So is some other people. Tony, we're just talking about, okay, cool. David said I got it right. We're just talking about insurance policies, not like on the legal aspect that you focus on, but like just if you look at the coverage and what it covers and and so on. I'm just saying that so the lawyer doesn't check me on something like, hello, Lisa, you can't just go around talking trash. We're just talking straight about the policies. And you can go to policygenius.com, people, if you want to see what they actually say. Policy Genius has a great write-up on it that I was researching just to make sure I was straight before I came over here talking this stuff. So in both cases, it covers their relocation, and things happen all the time. What if there's a hurricane and you're a landlord and it hits Baltimore or DC or Virginia or the Hampton Roads region, right? Like that stuff happens. What if there's a tornado and you have renters? I mean, if you guys haven't noticed, climate change is a thing. There are the frequency of very large scale, massively disruptive events. I mean, it's going all over the place, and it's not just on the coast. It's fires in LA and California that people are like fleeing from. It's earthquakes, it's droughts, it's lead in the water. There are so many things where your rental property can become uninhabitable. So FYI, like this is the thing. And in that case, the renter's insurance, that if you require that simple thing on your lease, will cover that. And let's talk about the property. So say in that fire or that flooding, the tenant's property was destroyed. Now there's two cases on that. Now, if they can prove negligence, so you as a rental property owner knew that there was a faulty wire, right? And they can prove negligence, they can take you to court and go, well, this was damaged by the fire, you need to pay me. Right? But it's a little bit harder to choose. That'll depend. Are you in a landlord-friendly or tenant-friendly court system? Because that'll skew it one way or the other. So even if like you weren't negligent in a tenant-friendly court, they might be like, oh, well, you should have made sure or whatever. And then it can go that way. But requiring the renter's insurance means that you're sort of specifying, hey, if there is damage, renter's insurance covers tenant damage. So negligent or not negligent, it really does cover. They have a recourse to go to get money for their items and make a claim without having to resolve to go to court. And most people, if something damaged, would just rather do a claim against their renter's insurance and take someone to court where it's not sure or certain that they're going to even get the money, right? And if they don't, they're just out of pocket their legal fees, and legal fees are not cheap. I have consulted many lawyers, and all of them seem to be $350 to $600 an hour. Right? So if that means I can just do a claim because you required me to do renter's insurance and there was a fire, instead of me trying to prove that you were negligent, which may, 50-50 depending on the court, I just want to do a claim, right? I pay $17 a month for this, $200 a year. I'm just going to do a claim. So that in itself, during a natural disaster, meaning the relocation and also with their property, gives them something to do to get their money back or the value of their items back way more than having an LLC to protect you. You see, you gave them an actual tool in which and resource to tap into by requiring it in your lease than to come after you. You gave them this out. You gave them something that's easier to do, and that's more of 100% sure thing because they can get a policy that covers it or not. And hopefully, and if they don't read the policy, that's not on you, right? So that is a major thing that some people come up against and they just don't know. And all this fear mongering about you needing an LLC and that renter's insurance covers you way better in those situations than others. So let's talk about another situation in which renter's insurance can help you, and landlord insurance. Between the two, you're pretty much covered. And that extra step is really worth it. Now, as far as someone getting hurt in your property, right? So there's a couple of different things you got to look at, and the insurance policy sort of goes into it. And before I start, there's just some comment. Lester, who does insurance down in the Hampton Roads region, says, as an insurance person, renters is an absolute requirement. Tony says, funny, what you're saying is right. Should be negligent to not require renter's insurance, right? She says, right, and let me tell you, I have not necessarily required it, and I've done just fine because I'm, but she is correct. Like, I have some tenants who are pretty chill, and everything's going really well, but I'm talking, I'm like, yeah, let me make sure. There's one tenant who we are renewing the release, and I am going to specify he needs to get it. So you are correct. We're negligent, but we're all growing together, right? That's why you're listening to me on this Monday night. We are building our skill set and our knowledge base together. No one is perfect. You know what I mean? So thanks, Tony. You are correct. It should be negligence for us not to require it, because it really does get to give you an out. Now, so bodily injury. And like you said, you can read up on the policies on there. But so there's two people who might get hurt. So your tenant gets hurt. You have a contractual agreement with the person, your property, and the person inside your property. The tenant gets hurt, right? Or and then the second case I'm going to talk to, a friend of a tenant who came over gets hurt, which you have no contractual obligation, right? So let's talk about the two different cases, because it is a bit of a difference. So say that your tenant gets hurt on the property, slips and falls. It does happen occasionally. And a lot of us, like me, I have elderly tenants, right? So it could theoretically happen. Okay, and if they slip and fall and it's my tenant, they could lay a claim against my insurance policy for what you did, right? They can be like, okay, I just slipped and fall. It's your stairs. And like I said, again, I think there is this line at which you don't know if it's going to go through or not. If they're going to win the case, they have to get legal representation to do it. But an easy way, they could also just put a claim against the insurance policy for whatever medical expenses they occur. So maybe they break a leg and they go to the doctors and they have a $3,000 bill. They can go, I want to know what your insurance policy. So even in that case, before suing, they can see and talk to you and be like, lay a claim against your landlord insurance, which covers bodily damage and medical. Mine does up to $500,000, right? Most are like 200, 300, the same for cars, right? And so, and if you have renter's insurance, it would also cover their bodily damage. So then all of a sudden, because you require it, it's a conversation. Can you lay claim against yours? Do you want to lay a claim against mine? And you could probably go through yours first. And I wouldn't even be surprised if you can stipulate that in the lease. If something happens and you want to go for damages, go through the renter's insurance first, and then as a requirement before trying to go to here, and maybe have a arbitration clause where it's like you can't go to court because we have these two recourses between your insurance and mine next, that we should not have to escalate to that. I wouldn't even be surprised if you could put that in your rental agreement. But have a qualified lawyer like Tony or Brian put the legalese in that document, because those off-the-shelf rental agreements are not the business, okay? Have someone vet it and make sure they're protecting you for the local laws that they see and know some people tend to overlook when they don't get extra advice and that higher level of service. So bodily injury. So yeah, you can typically, I'm sure you can write in your clause first, you have to lay claim to yours and then to mine, but like no courts, mediation only if you want it to. But again, you're giving them a resource if there is bodily injury for them to use, and they are not dependent on suing, which the outcome is not a guarantee, right? Because you can think whatever you want's a guarantee, and you can get to court and find out, I just paid this lawyer a $3,000 retainer and I have nothing to show for it. Done that before. So you know what I mean? Because you don't always win the cases. Now, let's talk about when the tenant invites a friend over. Jamie, but I just want to look some of the comments. Jamie Pickens was just saying he only required the renter's insurance for a tenant with a dog, right? In the property with the second-story deck and fireplace. Yes. I mean, definitely those things are, especially with a baby or kid, or if something happens. Absolutely, Jamie. And the dog, especially, I know there's some pit bull lovers out there, but every time I read a story about a mauling, it's a boxer pit bull mix or some sort. Okay? So, I know in Baltimore, man, like if you have a pit bull, it's like the property managers won't even rent to you because there have been too many accidents and maulings and claims and people getting sued for their dogs because that they're like, my property managers won't even let you go into their apartment with it. And I know there's a lot of pit bull lovers who are very staunch supporters that they're not all pit bulls, and pit bulls' lives matter, but no. Okay. But so yeah, so that's definitely a case where it's obvious, Jamie, or not obvious, but you're like, yeah, let me get renter's insurance in case something like this happens and does pop off. So I just wanted to talk to that comment. Now the other case is, say a tenant has a friend come over, and the friend hurts themselves in your dwelling because they came over at the friend. Now you don't really have a contractual obligation or anything with who the tenant invited over. But if they have renter's insurance and something happened to that person, they can, that friend of the renter, of the tenant, can tap into the renter's insurance, because the renter's insurance covers bodily harm for themselves and for any guest that comes over to their dwelling, right? So if it was a friend of the tenant and they have a $3,000 medical bill because they broke a foot on something, right? Do they want to sue the landlord who they don't know or have any information on and go through that process of finding them out to sue, or just do a claim against whoever invited them over, insurance claim, for the medical, right? One's a lot easier to do than the other. So in both cases, LLC fear mongering, like you have to have it to protect yourself. Like in the big things that really worry people, you really have a recourse, and they have high limits, just the same as auto insurance policies, on how much of the medical that they cover. And then these insurance companies, they have their own legal team. So if someone tries to get more than what they're entitled to, and that does happen. Side note, I remember I got in a car accident, and this dummy so it was I was at fault at the time. It was like when I was like 21, and so there were two people in the car, the driver and the friend. So I had Progressive insurance. The friend, I remember after the accident, the guy wasn't hurt and he wasn't out any wages when he looked, but he was suing me and my mom and my dad because I was on my parents' policy. And so the friend just sued, like Progressive offered them like $12,000. The friend took the money and went. He wasn't hurt. Well, like he was a little hurt, but not like severely. But he just took the money and run. The other guy tried to sue us for like $100,000. And for 3 years, Progressive was just like, nope. Every time they tried to bring the suit, they just swatted it down. So like these insurance companies have a legal team. And the medical expenses the guy had and the wages lost were none. The value of the car was like a $500. It was like a Cadillac, right? So like a heavy car. So it's not like it sustained much damage. I think the medical was very negligible. It was like $500 in medical claims. And he's trying to get $100,000, right? So a lawyer was all talking in his ear. And he did that for 3 years. And the funny thing is that he went to school. He went to Rancho High School with my sisters. And they saw him out one day. And they're like, why are you suing our family? That's my sister and my parents. They don't have money like that. And he heard it, and then, like, I seriously swear, like, the next week after they were, like, looking at him, like, what are you doing? We went to school together. Why are you doing this? And it's been 3 years. He dropped it, and then what did he take? He took, like, the $12,000 that they offered him in the first place, right? So, like, all 3 years wasted because he was trying to go above and beyond what the actual expenses were. And your insurance companies have these legal teams to make sure, definitely you're going to get something if someone's at fault. But you're not going to go above and beyond, right? So your renter's insurance legal team, your landlord's insurance legal team, they take care to make sure that if someone's trying to get a claim, that it is a valid legal claim. And in his case, like, I think the lost wage, everything, like, actually lost between any expenses was like $1,200. You got $12,000, right? Like, you did okay, son. You wasted 3 years trying to be greedy, but that's what you get, right? So even in those cases where you do have bodily injury and damage and going against the claim, like, the insurance company itself will have the team that you can't afford of legal experts to make sure that it's only what they are entitled to. I'm not getting into the ethics of, like, insurance claims. Are they ethical? I'm sure there's people out there that try to deny at the slightest fault, at the slightest error to try to get you money. Like, I'm sure that happens, But I know in my case, they were just like, they offered him 10 times what his actual expenses or out of pocket or missed work was, right? So not bad. not bad at all, right? So even in that case, if someone's trying to go above and beyond and you have those insurance in place in both the landlord and the renters, they're still only going to get so much and have a checks and balance system there to make sure it's not excessive so it doesn't bleed over into, okay, we have a $300,000 medical bodily injury thing, now they need to attack you. Because why are you going to attack me and my net worth is $1,000 because of all my debt, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So in both case, yeah, your renter's insurance and your landlord insurance covered you better. So for the things that are actually going to matter, like someone said, someone having a pit bull, someone having a second floor deck and balcony, and they're going to have kids there, and, you know, kids fall over. You know, I mean, what, you know, like that does happen. And so having your insurance policy, a renter's insurance policy and a landlord in policy, and stipulating in the lease that, hey, you know, if there are any claims, they need to be made against your renter policy first, landlord policy second, and a clause that, you know, we need to go through mediation and not through the courts, can do so much more for you than trying to hide your identity through an LLC. So I know that was a little bit more involved, but I think you guys are with me and understanding what I'm saying. But when I go out there, they're like, LLC, LLC. I was like, chill, man. You're not Michael Jordan. You're not Brad Pitt. You're not Angelina Jolie. You're not Oprah. You chill. Do you have any assets? Some of you guys do. Some of you guys sitting on like a gold mine. That's cool, right? Then you can like consider the LLC. But did you just see how the renter's insurance and landlord insurance will protect you way more at the practical level, and a nice lease that specifies the chain of command, the chain of claims, what's possible, what's not, in case anything does happen, way more than anything else. And there are two relatively simple things. So I'm just going to go to any comments. Jamie, you got to do better. Don't we all, Jamie? Don't we all? Lester is an insurance company has more money than the tenant. So which would you rather have to pay you? It's that simple. Right. And the landlord. The insurance company has way more money than the landlord, too. It has way more money than everybody, right? And they're split. There are direct, clear policies at which you get paid and which you don't. So I'm going to go over to YouTube and see if anyone has been chatting. Hey, Andre. Hey, Rachel. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for listening. Hey, Arthur. You got to let me know how it's going in New Jersey. Lewis says, please post more. I will. I got a cosmic sign that I need to start doing more of this. So, hey, how is YouTube? How are you guys liking this? I see 27 people on watching it. Does this make sense? And so here's the other part. I'm getting so tired of all that lame information out there that is just garbage. Where have you guys been? Like, why are you still giving that trite same advice? Like, it's not needed. We're so much farther past that. Renter's insurance, landlord insurance, a lease agreement that specializes that chain will do so much more for you. And don't get me wrong, as I said, I love LLCs. You can do whatever you want with your LLC. You could say my LLC does real estate investing, but also offers daycare services expenses. Like, you can go and health and wellness services and benefits, right? You can do whatever you want with the business, and it's lovely. You can say the business also has a daily yoga instructor that it expenses to come and give like a yoga class or a Tai Chi class. Like, I love having a business because you can make your business look and feel any way you want as long as you're going for profit. But all this fear mongering about putting your house in an LLC, like, you don't need to do it. And honestly, it was just more work and more money. And practically the things that actually really matter, renter's insurance is a big one. And as Tony said, who's one of the lawyers who spoke in the Investing Made Easy monthly membership, she's you know, like, it needs negligence is you not requiring it. And even I get to do better. I actually don't, but like after this talk, I'm going to. And don't get me wrong. And so I have landlord insurance, so I felt very comfortable with that. But I do know there is an extra level. So on the re-up, I'm actually gonna email them right now that on the renewal, I actually didn't necessarily need to raise the rents on my tenants, but I will say you got to get renter's insurance. I'm going to send that email tonight. So it's going to be happening within the year, and my property managers will make sure that that's taken care of. Right? So how do you like that? So if you're going to come over here, I don't do garbage advice. Like, my advice is just really like what's going on in the field and practical for people who look and act just like us. And so that's what we're going to do. So some of you guys joined a little late, but you could always go back and watch it because I'm just about done. So Yeah, so that's just all I wanted to say. I hope that was extremely helpful. This was actually more of a fun one just because there's so many misconceptions. And the reality is, a $13 a month policy is going to save you way more than any of that, which I need to email to my property manager teams. I have a couple different property managers. This is Lisa Phillips, Affordable Real Estate Investments. So if you guys want, I do have a book. You can go to my website, affordablerealestateinvestments.com. Let me write that in. And click on free book. A lot of this information and protection is in my Investing Made Easy. We had a lot of lawyers on Investing Made Easy monthly membership. And it actually goes way more in depth than this. But if you want a copy of my book, it's a best-selling book. It's on 3 best-selling lists: buying and selling properties, real estate investments, and women in business, which I'm really proud of. Still to this day, it was like top 6, 7, and 8. Now it's like, 32, 46. But I'm still happy it's on a bestseller. I didn't ever think that would happen. I just thought my tribe would support it, and that's it. But apparently, out there, someone talking about something different is what's needed what's needed today out there. And also, I do work with people one-on-one. I work with mostly a lot of New Yorkers, DC, Californians, Texans, Floridians, people from Atlanta purchasing properties, mostly out long distance or out of state. And so, how do you choose? You don't just throw a dart at the wall, like I like to say. How do you choose where do you invest when you live someplace like that and you've never done it before? And we help streamline the process, tap into the networks that we already do, look at properties together. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my website as well and go to fill out a strategy session sheet. Here, and I'll put the link below if you are interested in doing it. And with that, any other last questions before we go? Thank you for sharing your knowledge, David. Amazing. Thank you. This was actually really fun. David, I appreciate you. I'm so glad you showed up. David is, I gotta tell you, just side story. So I'm going on a spiritual journey, which you guys know about, and I was having a crisis of faith about 5 days ago. I was like, which happens to all of us. It's all of us. And I swear the angel sent him to me, right at the right time. And he said the right thing. I was like, oh. And me and David, we talk, but we don't talk like that. And that's the first time he called me ever. And we've known each other for 7 years. And he was just talking to, here's my spiritual journey. And this is what I'm doing. And this is what I care about. And I'm doing my nonprofit. And it was just such the perfect, I'm so glad they gave you that nudge to call me, because he said the right thing at the right time and faith was restored. But I was like, that's part of the spiritual journey as well. They will provide for you if you really lean into it. And he was there. So thank you, David. Shout outs to you. And then Lester's answering some insurance questions in the Facebook page comments. If you guys want to go to my Facebook page, it's my public profile, and sort of look through. I think if you ping Lester, he might be willing to answer for a couple more seconds. I think he's with Allstate. Arthur, we'll talk soon. Closed on the property. Yes! So Arthur, just closed on the property. We work together in our 10-week group coaching program. I am so happy. Yes! To rent by December. Arthur. So you'll see a lot of Arthur. He helps out a lot in my WhatsApp group. And if you're in the Investing Made Easy monthly membership, we also have a WhatsApp group. It's a little bit more informal, but Arthur is there always helping out. And he just wrote on the YouTube comments that he closed and will be rented out by December. Let's all give him a round of applause. It is a big deal to get a property that is in this price range and makes money. It happens every day when I work with people, but I know out there sometimes it's can I see it? Can I not? But yes, and we did it. And he's up in New Jersey too. So all y'all thinking you have to go all the way to North Carolina, you don't. It's not. It's just you need a system that's on how to do it and how to work it. And that's what I help people with. So yes, I'm very happy for you, Arthur. Round of applause. It is, every single property makes a difference, and it matters. And to some of us, it's the first big sign of wealth equity and wealth creation in our lineage. Okay, so it is a big deal. No one should ever underplay that. So I'll talk to you guys later, and yay! Right? That's not good. Like, don't hate on anything. Even if you buy a property for 10,000, which I have, like that 10,000 can make you $900 a month for for the next 30 years, which it has. So you know what I mean? So like, never ever like. Every single property you get as a rental property owner is a very big deal and goes towards financial freedom, especially if you pay it off within 2 to 3 years, which is what we do when you purchase in this anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000 price range. Lee Brown says, "Congratulations, Arthur." So they hear you, they see you. So I'm gonna let you guys go. So how I'm gonna do this is I do a stream to the YouTube, and then I'll do one to my Facebook group, and then one to my Instagram. In between all those, sometimes my Twitter will do it with the Instagram. So yeah, so just you know, if you see us, join on in. We usually talk about things that are actually practical, and mostly I'm just dispelling a lot of I'm gonna say it's garbage advice, and maybe it's not garbage, but it's garbage for us. But they don't know how to articulate and delineate and make it more nuanced, so we know who the information is for and who it's talking to. And they don't always give you better alternatives, like just requiring renters insurance. And it's because they're not doing it every day. I do it every day with my clients, and so because of that, there's this big feedback loop we have where it's like you just learn and grow. And since I do this every day with people, like you're current and up to date, but we really just need to get rid of it. So I'll talk to all of you guys later. Have a wonderful Monday night. Hope this is helpful. Bye.